I really don't know how we would have made it. So we're going to talk to our friends, Jesse Rojo, as well as Pete Eatherton of Equipped for Equality, and Magda Zalewska, who is an early intervention provider. I want to thank our sponsors, Pride Coffee Roasters. Thank you so much for your continued support. And please, everyone, go to pridecoffeeroasters.com. It is my favorite coffee. You can check out all their great single origin beans. You know, that Sanjay Gupta clips that we play, he mentioned last week the healthiest, safest coffee beans you can get are single origin beans. So go to their website and put in an order. And when you put your order in, they roast them. They're freshly roasted to order. They also have some great gay swag on there. I have a sweatshirt that says "Sounds Gay." I'm in. So check those out. And I was just checking to see which camera I should be looking at, and I realized none of them are on me. We'll straighten it all out during the show, folks, and hopefully get on the Facebook live stream. But we appreciate you supporting. You know, we have a couple minutes here. Let's we can open the phone lines. I won't have too much time for phone calls today, and I want to make sure I get to at least one before the break. I also want to thank our friends at Source Solar. Go to source.solar. 773-763-9278. That's the number to call or text, 773-763-9278. We want to thank our friends at Source Solar. Don't forget to visit source.solar and find out if it's a good time to get solar panels on your house or business. I'm guessing a little bit harder in these cold, wet winter months, but nonetheless, let's get the process started because it takes a bit. That's source.solar. We also want to thank our friends at Minocqua Brewing Company. Of course, again, check out the Minocqua Brewing Company's Facebook page, and their website is minocquabrewingcompany.com. Put in your order for some maybe progressive brews. Perhaps you are in the mood for they have a really cool woke coffee mug. So check them out at minocquabrewingcompany.com. At any rate, we are going to have a lot to talk about today. I know they already have. Announced that, Marjorie Taylor Greene's interview last night at 60 Minutes, I didn't bother to watch it. I don't know if you guys had a chance. I'm not interested. Everyone's like, oh, she's spilling the tea. And it didn't seem like anything. Some of the Republicans make fun of him behind his back. I would be surprised if they didn't. That would be the shocking part. And then she said that, what else did she say? That she talked to the president on the phone, and he said if they released the Epstein documents, that the people would get hurt. And she's like, more than the victim. I mean, I don't know if she said this, but more than the victims, more than the girls and women that were trafficked and sexually assaulted. Who are you? What? And at any rate, now there's stories over the weekend that there's up to 20, maybe 20. I guess the latest number is 23 Republicans who will not be running for re-election. And I doubt that they will leave before their terms are up. I'm sure they'll all get their full federal pensions. And the story for some of them apparently is that they get the sense there's going to be a blue wave and they don't want to be in Congress for that experience of Democrats. I don't know, investigating a lot of them, impeaching a lot of them. Well, we'll see. So at any rate, a lot of crazy stuff going on. Let's take a break here. When we come back, we'll have on Zoom with us Kate Lincoln-Goldfinch in just a moment on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal and KKNW 1150. More after this.
Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive.
What we do here at WCPT is more important than ever. And in addition to telling you about the latest outrage, I hope we all also offer you hope. You're not alone. We're all in this together. We are all resisting together. We are all going to work for the causes that are near and dear to our hearts.
Joan Esposito, weekday afternoons 2 to 5 on WCPT 820.
A new exclusive offer with an eligible Bank of America Visa credit card is your opportunity to go from cardholder to ticket holder for the FIFA World Cup 2026. For a limited time, when you're approved for a new customized cash rewards or unlimited cash rewards Visa credit card, you're eligible for a chance to purchase FIFA World Cup 2026 tickets. Learn more today at bfa.com/cardfwc26. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America, proud to be the official bank of FIFA World Cup 2026. Bank of America N.A. in partnership with Visa. Terms apply. All rights reserved.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
If you're listening to this station right now, you've definitely heard my voice before. Hi, I'm Hawk.
And I'm Pete. And we're with Source Solar, your local source for solar. Source Solar is Chicagoland's premier solar installer, providing solutions for over 1,000 homeowners and business owners across Illinois and Iowa.
With over a decade of industry experience and deep roots here in Chicago, we have the expertise to help your transition to clean, renewable, resilient energy.
We can guarantee that we save you money day one without any out-of-pocket cost to you. This means you have an instant ROI, instant payback, and can save money to add to your bottom line day one.
At Source Solar, we source everything as local as possible, meaning we always carry the Made in USA sticker.
Find us online at www.source.solar. Stop in our office at 5710 North Northwest Highway or give us a call at 773-985-3992.
And don't forget to ask for Hawk and
Or Pete.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue our drive home. We are thrilled to welcome to our show via Zoom, and I have to apologize to our guest. We're talking to Kate Lincoln-Goldfinch. My Zoom camera's not working. Kate, how are you doing today? I'm doing, I'm hanging in there. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on, but we're thrilled to we're thrilled to have you on the show, and congratulations on running for office for the Texas House of Representatives. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from originally, my friend? I hear you. I know that there's a lot happening, obviously, in the area of immigration. What made you choose immigration law, just out of curiosity? Oh. I appreciate the work that you're doing, and thank you for taking that on, really. Before we talk about your candidacy, I mean, because someone asked me today about obviously we're all talking about the gerrymandering in Texas. They're eliminating, seats, the Democratic Senate, congressional seats. Somebody asked me, don't you think that like Latinos will now, start voting, start to go more back towards the center or more left? And I was like, I don't know. It's kind of tough. Texas is unique, isn't it? Kate's Texas is a little bit challenging. Oh, gosh, I hope so. It's one of the things that's pretty hard to imagine. We talked a lot today about when abortion rights were absolutely decimated and now only getting worse, where they're putting bounties on people's heads. It's literally the wild, wild west. It feels like in Texas. Yeah, I was telling someone today that with everything happening, with how much is happening every single day, just the sheer volume of constitutional violations, the corruption, the stories of women who are dying or losing their uterus, or infants because they are eliminating the maternal mortality boards. Even babies that are born in states that have strict abortion bans aren't surviving because they're not getting a lot of the services that are being cut off. What so with all of that, what inspired you to run for office? Because I think you've got a lot of reasons, I'm guessing. Oh my God. I mean, yeah, yeah. And you're hearing from, I mean, because I think that's part of it. And it's also obviously registering more voters. From what I remember, voter turnout in Texas is not great. Yes. Now, if you had 30 seconds with a constituent, what's your platform? What's your pitch to them to get their vote? Outstanding. And by the way, we've been talking to Kate Lincoln-Goldfinch. She's an immigration attorney and CEO of Lincoln-Goldfinch Law in Austin. And she's now the candidate for the Texas House of Representatives. Where can folks learn more about your campaign? Outstanding. Thank you so much for joining us. And go get them. We'd love to talk to you again. If you have something you want to let our listeners know about, just because you're in Texas doesn't mean we can't support you. And we have listeners all over the world. So it was a pleasure to meet you. And again, thank you for running for office and all the work that you've done. Absolutely. Thank you. Take care. Let's take a break here. When we come back, we're going to talk to our friend Dan Tully, who's running for the Illinois 8th Congressional District here on WCPT. We love having you, and we love our friends listening on KKNW 1150 in Seattle. Oh, let's hit this button. I should probably do this one.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
I'm meteorologist Ray Miller from the Weatherology Weather Center. Cloudy skies tonight with a chance of light snow developing, a dusting of accumulation with a low temperature of 19. On Tuesday, we'll see a couple of showers with a high of 36 and southwest winds at 15 to 30 miles an hour. Wednesday, rain mixing with snow with a high temperature of 37, northwest winds up to 40 miles an hour. Thursday, chance of snow with a high temperature of 25 degrees. That's the latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 25.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
Hey, I'm Dr. Kristen Lyerly, and I'm bringing you real conversations about the issues that matter most. Healthcare, politics, culture, you name it. Every week, I sit down with newsmakers and friends, and we break down what's happening and what it means for you. It's smart, it's fun, and it's unapologetically progressive. So join me on Saturday at 5 p.m. right here on WCPT, Chicago's Progressive Talk. The Dr. Kristen Lyerly Show. Let's do this.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Welcome back to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us. We continue our drive home, and thank you for hanging out with us at WCPT and KKNW 1150. I'm trying to figure out which camera I'm looking at. We have in studio with us our next guest. He's a candidate for Illinois' 8th Congressional District. Dan Tully joins us. Dan, it's only been a few weeks, but I know that you've been doing a lot of work. You've I think since we last saw you, you're now on the ballot.
I am on the ballot, yes.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
How many signatures did you end up turning in?
We collected over 3 times the amount that we needed.
Nice.
Thanks to the help of 105 volunteers.
What? That's outstanding. So remind folks who might not be familiar with even the congressional district that they live in. First of all, you get your voter registration card all the time, folks, and it's right there on your card. So look at those numbers. But tell folks about the communities that are in the 8th. I know it's huge, but maybe the top line communities, and they'll figure it out too.
Absolutely. It starts on the east side in the 41st Ward of Chicago and then goes through Rosemont to over the north of O'Hare through Des Plaines and then cuts through Elk Grove. You've got Schaumburg, all of Bloomingdale, Hoffman Estates, cuts further into Elgin, and then it includes Rutland Township, but then cuts down south through St. Charles and includes most of Geneva as well. Oh,
excellent. So remind folks too, because I know that you have a pretty interesting and impressive sort of career that you've built and background. So tell us a little bit about, first of all, where you grew up and the work you started doing.
Absolutely. Thank you, Patti. I grew up in Downers Grove, Illinois, which is about 20 minutes away from where I live now in Carroll Stream, both in DuPage County. And I've spent most of my career advising foreign countries on how to improve the rule of law and how to cut down on corruption. In the military, for instance, I worked with the Iraqi CTS, the Counterterrorism Service, to improve their compliance with rule of law best practices. And then when I was a civilian for the U.S. Department of Commerce, I worked in emerging markets alongside foreign leaders who were trying to improve their legal and regulatory and policy frameworks to make them more consistent with best practices in order to attract investment with the umbrella topic of countering Chinese influence in the region.
That's amazing. And so I imagine you see some of these stories emerge with how we're behaving internationally with not just concern. I mean, it's crazy what's happening right now What are some of the things? I mean, I know I saw a video that you shared about what happened in Elgin, but what are your thoughts on what's happening with these, what's are being called these attacks on drug boats, that the double tap, the kill them all, but not just that, but that who cares where the drugs were going, without even any evidence that we know of that's being shared. What are your thoughts on what's happening there?
This is extremely troubling to see the Trump administration, led by Pete Hegseth in this effort, going after fishermen boats, civilians in boats that we do not have positive identification that they are any type of hostile actors. But we're using the full force of the military to go after people that do not have any basis for being targeted. So I've advised commanders in Iraq on the use of the use of armed force, both consistent with the law of armed conflict and the rules of engagement. They're two different bodies. And what we need to remember in this instance is even if Pete Hegseth commands something, and even if he changes U.S. policy to support what he commands, that doesn't make it comply with the law of armed conflict and the United States obligations under that law of armed conflict. I can go into more detail if that's helpful.
Yeah.
Okay,
please.
Perfect. So the law of armed conflict, it's a broad set of rules, some of which we've subscribed to explicitly. So, for example, the Geneva Conventions, the second Geneva Convention specifically, I believe it's Article 12, that says shipwrecked people cannot be targeted. If someone is shipwrecked, if there's a civilian who's shipwrecked, you must protect them, regardless of how they became shipwrecked, regardless of whether or not you've actually blown up their boat to make them shipwrecked. Once they're shipwrecked, they can't be targeted. In addition to those explicit obligations, there's something that we call customary international law. These are norms that states abide by when using force. So under customary international law, there's this concept of hors de combat, out of the fight. So anyone who is no longer able to participate directly in hostilities cannot be targeted through force. So those are our obligations under international law. When it comes to U.S. policy, that's the rules of engagement. That's policy that Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump can set, of course, within the framework provided by the Congress. And we can get to that in a second if that's okay. But under the rules of engagement, Pete Hegseth is arguing that he has put in place rules of engagement that allow for the targeting of these people, which is, I, of course, have not seen the classified documents for this particular operation, but given my knowledge of the classified rules of engagement of prior conflicts, it's absurd to think that he could have any basis for targeting civilian fishermen, even if they are carrying drugs in their boat. Once that boat has been struck and they are in the water, they are protected. And we can go into more detail.
Well, I think you mentioned Congress and their role in all of this as well, because you're running for Congress, and I imagine you have some thoughts.
Absolutely. Going back to about 50 years ago, the War Powers Act was Congress's attempt to control the presidential execution and prosecution of conflict overseas, of the use of force. We all know that in the Constitution, it sets that the Congress can declare war, but the president wages the war. So to balance that out, Congress said that the president could only use force when authorized by Congress. Now, going back to 1991 and then later 2002, the Congress gave the president, and both Bush Sr. and Bush Jr., they gave authorization to use force against Saddam Hussein. That's what we call the AUMFs. They're standing authorizations for the use of military force. Those bases to go after Saddam Hussein has never been repealed. And in fact, those are still the bases that the president is using for military action in Venezuela today.
Wow.
And
wow.
Was that intended by folks? I think there are 8 members of the House of Representatives who were involved in passing that authorization still in Congress. Everybody else has moved on. Shouldn't the Congress repeal the AUMFs so that the president has to go back each time he wants to start a new war?
Yeah, why wasn't that done previously? You would think that we've had some time to do that.
There's a lot of vested interest, a lot of money from the defense sector that doesn't want a disruption to the smooth process that presidents of both parties have used in order to start new conflicts in different places that they see as opportunistic for their interests.
Wow, that's some crazy stuff. So, lot of us are talking about this, whether it's on our shows or on social media. Of course, you have a lot of people popping their heads up. Oh, what, you didn't say anything when Obama was deploying drones and things like that. The logic is just mind blowing, isn't it? First of all, I would say that a lot of us were screaming about some of these attacks as well, right? And people even mentioned Osama bin Laden. All of a sudden, they're upset about that, I guess.
Certainly, both presidents of both parties have always sought to expand the authority and the scope of power of the executive branch, as is almost designed in the Constitution. That each branch of government is supposed to try to be jealous of its own power. So presidents have always tried to expand, at least on the margins, their power. What was different now is that back in the time of Barack Obama, he had a Congress that was watching and was trying to pull back any additional executive accumulation of power. Now we have a Congress led by Republicans in both chambers that cheers on this president. We're starting to see a little bit of break with that, and it's somewhat encouraging news that there are Senate Republicans who are taking a look at this, even Senate members of the House who see what's going on with Pete Hegseth, and they're calling out for war. They're identifying that war crimes are happening as well. I think that we could see the turn on Trump's popularity, the turn on Trump's apex of power, as we see him further bind himself to Hegseth and Hegseth. I'd be happy to go into detail. This is just one of the next steps in Hegseth's attack on the rule of law. This isn't a surprise for anybody who's been watching. What happens internationally when we are carrying out these actions? I mean, what are the rest of the countries? What kind of actions can they take in these instances in waters from other under the auspices of we're defending Americans? Then why are we blowing up ships or boats, cargo boats, whatever, in other parts of the world? Absolutely. So for U.S. use of force, there are two buckets. There's offensive force and there's defensive force. Offensive, when there's a declared hostile force engaged in hostilities. If we can determine that someone or a person or an organization is declared hostile, according to our parameters that we've set through DoD policy, we can use offensive force. But when it comes to defensive force, there are a couple different broad categories. There's defense of U.S. ships, defense of U.S. personnel, right, and allied personnel. There's also coalition, and you can break down different groups to see what level of protection we can afford them. When it comes to attacking a ship in the middle of open water and saying that we are defending ourselves, there's no hostile act. There's no hostile intent. There's not even a clear basis or a clear set of evidence that the boat is carrying narcotics. Yeah. Even if it were, we have a Coast Guard. We have a body of government that is armed, that its whole mission is to patrol the borders of the United States. This ship was not off the coast of the United States. This was still further south. This was in international waters. So all that to say, when you ask about other countries can look at us and say, weren't you the defenders of freedom? And yet now we're using our full military might to take out some of the poorest fishermen in the world and drop bombs not only on their ship to blow them up once, but to come back as they're drowning. What they can do is they can submit complaints to the International Criminal Court, but we're not parties. The United States has never been a signatory. And so it's not like Pete Hegseth is going to be taken off to The Hague to face trial. We're somewhat unaccountable, and the United States has enjoyed that sense of unaccountability, lack of accountability for its entire military operations, at least in the Middle East. And we're somewhat of a self-policing state by design. Holy cats. Okay, so in the event that you win and we have a majority in Congress, what are the steps? I mean, it sounds as though we have who would gather evidence about or bring charges against Pete Hegseth for war crimes? So not the DOJ under this administration. We've seen with Tom Homan, he accepted $50,000 for a bribe, and the DOJ said nothing to see here. Yep. That was in a fast food bag. If they're not able to, if the DOJ under Trump is not willing to prosecute Trump affiliates, we need a body within the U.S. House of Representatives to investigate and to gather evidence to memorialize each one of these actions. So specifically, under the Constitution and the enumerated powers of the Article 1 branch, there's a language that says Congress can create tribunals inferior to the Supreme Court. And now some of that language, some of the tribunals manifest in the form of statutory created bodies like court systems. Obviously, this president isn't going to participate in the statutory creation process. So that's off the table. But on the other side of the spectrum, there are commissions. The U.S. House of Representatives, under a Democratic-controlled leadership, could create a commission to basically be a shadow DOJ that gathers evidence, that investigates, that memorializes, that gathers together and prepares cases such that when the DOJ is retaken, the executive branch is retaken in 2029, the DOJ is restored to political independence, they can take a look at the case material that's presented. It'll be clear what has gone on in this administration. The number of actors have committed all sorts of different types of corruption, and they'll be able to prosecute and start running. Unlike in January 6th, that DOJ that had to start gathering from scratch, and it took them a long time, such that they never actually got around to charging Trump only after 2 years of investigating. So we can save time and we can prepare cases for a future DOJ. It's not going to be immediate, but at least there will be accountability.
Wow, here's hoping. We are talking to Dan Tully. He's running for the 8th Congressional District here in Illinois. We're going to take a break here and continue our conversation with him. I do want to turn our attention to what's going on in Chicago, well, in Chicago, but also other cities, of course, with the invasion of the militarized ICE, Border Patrol, and what's his name? Bavino? God, that guy's crazy. More after this on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal and KKNW 1150. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us. We appreciate it.
A Better Life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
Millions of Americans are now taking a GLP-1 drug like Ozempic, Wegovy, or Mounjaro, for example. These are powerful medications that can help people lose weight and fast. But you don't just lose fat, you also lose muscle. To stay strong, you need to make sure you're eating enough protein, even when you're not necessarily hungry. You also need to prioritize strength training. You know, many patients underestimate their weakness when on these drugs until it shows up functionally, like when they're going upstairs. That's what one doc who works with people on GLP drugs told us. So here's what you need to know. Because you might feel fatigued or dizzy or nauseated, start your workouts at a lower intensity and then work your way up. You also don't want to shortchange your sleep. That's when your body's rest and recovery kicks into high gear. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
A new exclusive offer with an eligible Bank of America Visa credit card is your opportunity to go from card holder to ticket holder for the FIFA World Cup 2026. For a limited time, when you're approved for a new customized cash rewards or unlimited cash rewards Visa credit card, you're eligible for a chance to purchase FIFA World Cup 2026 tickets. Learn more today at bfa.com/cardfwc26. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America, proud to be the official bank of FIFA World Cup 2026. Bank of America N.A. in partnership with Visa. Terms apply. All rights reserved.
Here's a tale of Linda trying to lose weight, but the med prices she found were all over the place.
Hidden fees and markups made her jaw drop low. Then she found Good RX. Now she's in the know.
GLP-1 subscriptions FDA approved.
With clear upfront pricing.
And same-day pickup.
That's Good RX, the no-nonsense way. Save time and money on prescriptions.
Get to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
Because facts matter. You're listening to WCPT 820.
No detours, no distractions. Just bold ideas and real talk. This is Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us to continue to drive it home. Joining me in studio is our guest, Dan Tully, who's a candidate for the Illinois 8th Congressional District. We've been talking about the attacks on Venezuelan boats under the auspices of a war on drugs, and the idea that that we're just trying to keep drugs out of America. That's what a lot of MAGA is saying. I don't care where they were headed. We're just trying to, people saved. You have a problem with we should be able to, to kill drug dealers. And it's like the bloodthirst is insane.
And isn't it preposterous when the president is going after fishermen who at worst carrying some type of drug in their boat, but then he goes on to pardon a leader who had been involved directly and was convicted with a lot of evidence that he had moved tons, without exaggeration, tons of drugs into our country. With this president seems to be able to be bought with a compliment, or bought with a trinket, or even something of gold. We saw even Apple domestic actors go to the president, present him with a plaque with etched in gold his name, and because he received that, he granted their exception to tariffs. So all that to say, I completely agree that it's absurd that this president has the gall to say that we're going after drug traffickers when he is pardoning people who have participated in a much larger way.
I don't know why that disconnect is not. They're not feeling it. They're not understanding any of it. So we mentioned off the air that in the few days prior to learning about this attack on a boat, I believe it was in September, where there had been survivors who were clinging to floating parts of the boat, and then there was an order to kill them as well, to strike again. Prior to that, there were, was it 6 or 7 legislative members who said the message to military members: you do not need to follow illegal orders. That was, what did you think when that first happened, by the way? Like initially,
I thought it was relatively uncontroversial. Right. When I first heard it, I actually saw the video long before before the news story broke that they were receiving attention from Magda. I saw the video and I thought, why are they stating the obvious? If you receive an unlawful order, it is your obligation to not follow it. That shouldn't be news to anybody in the military. In fact, we now know, there's a clip from 2016 of Pete Hegseth saying the same thing. If you receive an illegal order, you shouldn't follow it. We all, when we join the military, raise our right hands and we say that we're going to be loyal to the Constitution and we're going to faithfully discharge the duties of the office and protect and defend the Constitution and uphold. And for the officers, it's explicit that we will follow legal orders. And for the president and to tweet out or to truth out that saying that is the grounds for execution, to lose one's life, well, then every single person who's been involved in military training should receive the same fate, because we've all said the same thing. As a judge advocate, that's implied, if not explicitly stated, in training. So the timing now, with hindsight a little bit clearer, that video came out after the strike had happened. So did those 6 members know that a strike had been ordered for Hegseth to say kill them all? And a very senior very senior admiral followed that order. Maybe that was trying to bolster in advance of what we knew was coming. But at the same time, this Secretary of Defense has been targeting the rules of engagement from day one. Before his confirmation hearings in the Senate, he had written a book describing his antipathy to the rules of engagement as briefed to him on his deployment. And in fact, he openly mocked the rules of engagement while he was deployed to soldiers under his command. He referred to JAG officers as jag-offs in a derogatory term, and he even smirked while doing so in front of the Senate. Of course, the Senate pushed him forward, but shortly after, within a month of being in office, he fired the top-ranking judge advocates, saying that they didn't align with what he stood for. They were going to be, in his words, roadblocks to the president's mission. And now, what does that say if lawyers are roadblocks to your mission? Doesn't that imply that mission could be illegal? But fast forward from there, he's been trying to assign judge advocates to other roles. For instance, he's trying to send judge advocates to serve as immigration court judges in civilian court, in which there's no military nexus. He's sending them away from their actual military duties. And on top of that, we just saw in the speech earlier in the summer, or late summer, him say the rules of engagement are stupid, in his words, that they're politically correct, and that he was doing away with them, and he wants to delegate the level of authority down to his level of command. Now, platoon leaders are important in the military, but they shouldn't be making strategic level decisions that impact our national security. So this war crime is not an accident. This is the product of a determined effort by the Secretary of Defense, now self-styled Secretary of War, to relieve himself of obligations and constraints so that he can use force, whether on his own behalf or on behalf of the president. frankly, I don't think the president is paying too close of attention if it doesn't directly impact him. I think this is Hegseth trying to relive his glory days, try to go back to when he was a junior officer and pursue an outcome where he still PTs. That's his major contribution as the Department of War secretary, is he PTs with soldiers. He wants to be seen as the cool guy.
Right.
It's cowardly, in fact, to blame a subordinate commander for the decisions that you ordered, and then still want to take in all the glitz and glam, having the makeup studio in the Pentagon and looking good for the troops, which I know I'm going on a long time, but would love to that video that Hegseth shot. He flew in 600 generals and admirals from around the world.
Crazy.
I've been involved in planning the travel for one 4-star. Each trip costs at least $600,000, if not more. He travels with a full crew. There's only specific aircraft that can transport these folks with such level of seniority because they have to be available constantly. That speech cost at least 8 figures. But on top of that, he has ordered that every single member of the military watch that speech in full. I had to watch it. I know folks in the National Guard, folks in the Army Reserve, folks in the active components, folks in special operations, folks in the Space Force. Every single person in the military was ordered by Secretary Hegseth to watch his speech, where he said a lot of controversial stuff like the military should be more toxic. It shows more aggression. He says soldiers and members of the military should act more like him in his method.
God. Wow.
And he called generals fat.
Yeah.
Now, if there's a fat general, and there are people that are overweight who've made it through 30 years, but if you've made it through 30 years in the military, your knees are not in shape. Your knees are not working anymore. The people in the military that I've met are some of the most disciplined that I've ever encountered. For Pete Hegseth to think that everybody should have the body of a Fox News weekend host is absolutely absurd.
Exactly. Before we go, I do want to be able to touch on the ICE agents that were attacking residents in Elgin. I know you made a video about this. How crazy is this military presence we have in our streets?
Absolutely crazy. But to separate or to distinguish ICE from the military, at least everyone in the military had to pass a test. Everybody's gone through a lot of training. And even though the standards are relatively low to get in, there are still people who don't get in. And you know where they can go now? They can go sign up to be an ICE. They can go put on their mask, and this president and Kristi Noem has empowered them to act with impunity. And they think there won't be any consequences because they hide their face and because they won't say their badge number. We saw in Elgin people being shot in the head with pepper balls and people being told off with racial slurs and with reference to their liberal affiliations. They think they can get away with that. And yet the thing that I pointed out in that video, and the thing that I want to make sure is widely known, and hopefully ICE can hear this too, is that there can be accountability. Because similar to the commission model that I mentioned earlier, we can create a commission for ICE accountability. And to that commission, members of the public can submit videos of ICE abuse incidents. We can geotag that. We can date and timestamp that. We can map it out, everything that's happened that's been illegal. And then, using the full force of law, the U.S. Congress, specifically the House of Representatives, can subpoena from the Department of Homeland Security all the mission logs, the vehicle reports, the travel receipts. We can find out the outcome reports. We can figure out who was on scene. And if the FBI can determine who all those masked MAGA people were at the Capitol on January 6th, certainly the United States Congress can figure out who the people were that were at the scene. And then from that, we can pursue individual accountability.
Well, we need so much accountability is needed. We've been hanging out with Dan Tully, candidate for the Illinois 8th Congressional District. You can go to dantully.com. That's TULLY.com. Again, congratulations on getting on the ballot. The primary, everybody, is on March 17th. That's St. Patrick's Day. Early voting. Pay attention to all of that stuff. Get involved. And if you want to volunteer, go to dantully.com. You want to donate. And if you're interested in supporting his work, thank you so much. I appreciate it, sir.
Thank you, Patty.
Thank you. Let's take a break here. And we have a panel coming up, an entire hour devoted to the early intervention crisis. So we want to talk about that when we come back in just a moment on WCPT 820 and KKNW 1150. And this is kind of national, too. This isn't just Illinois, but we want to talk specifically about Illinois.
WCPT Replay.
The professor of political science and women's and gender studies at Brooklyn College and the graduate center of the City University of New York and author of Sex Is as Sex Does, Governing Transgender Identity. Yeah, Paisley Kura.
The legislation that they've passed doesn't really speak to any particular problems. Like the legislation that they've passed might be described as like a solution in search of a problem. The legislation covers, school and college participation in sports. And when it comes to like elite sports, that's already governed by the whatever sports associations. They have their own policies and they're working through policies on transgender participation. So it's not necessary for legislatures to weigh in on that. This legislation is really targeting like middle school and high school kids at the non-elite level, and that is where really just part of enrolling transgender people in the culture wars to create problems where none exist.
Keep listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
Brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Not only does Progressive let you bundle your insurance, but they also give you round-the-clock protection. Quote today at Progressive.com.
AP News, I'm Ben Thomas. President Trump's again been speaking about that September strike on a boat in the Caribbean Sea. Saka Magani reports he's offering a new justification.
The president now says 2 suspected drug smugglers were trying to upright the vessel after it capsized during an initial strike in September.
They were trying to turn the boat back to where it could float. And we didn't want to see that because that boat was loaded up with drugs just like everything else.
Just 5 days ago, when asked if he was open to releasing video of the strike.
Whatever they have, we'd certainly release, no problem.
But asked about it today.
That now says you said that. I didn't say that. This is ABC fake news.
The president says releasing the video is Pentagon Chief Pete Hegseth's call.
Whatever he decides is okay with me.
Democrats are pushing for the release amid questions over whether killing survivors of a strike at sea could be a war crime. Sagar Meghani at the White House.
President Trump's giving farmers hit hard by his trade war with China $12 billion in aid. The Supreme Court today heard a challenge to the president's power to fire board members of independent agencies. Mark Sherman was in the court for it.
After 2.5 hours of argument, it seemed that the conservative majority on the Supreme Court would ratify Trump's decision to fire board members and expand presidential power over independent agencies. At issue is a 90-year-old decision known as Humphrey's Executor. It was decided unanimously in 1935 and limits the president's power to fire independent agency directors, but the court seemed likely to overrule it.
As Japan assesses damage from a 7.5 magnitude earthquake, the U.S. Geological Survey reports it's been hit by another quake, this one magnitude 5.1. This is AP News. A lot of debate in some quarters about this one. Gethin Coolbaugh explains.
Indiana is number 1, Alabama and Miami are in, and Notre Dame is out in the college football playoffs 12-team bracket. The undefeated Hoosiers vaulted to the top spot after their win in the Big Ten title game against Ohio State, which fell 1 spot after its 13-10 loss. Indiana QB Fernando Mendoza tossed the winning touchdown in the third quarter Saturday.
Whenever we're in any adversity, we're always there to stick by each other, not finger pointing. I think that's what's elevates us to our competition and exceeds expectations.
SEC champ Georgia was 3rd and Big 12 titleist Texas Tech 4th. Number 9 Alabama and number 10 Miami made the field by leapfrogging Notre Dame, which lost to the Hurricanes during opening week. Notre Dame says it will not participate in a bowl game this season. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
Monday Night Football has the Chargers hosting the Eagles. There's more news at apnews.com. I'm Ben Thomas. Thanks for listening.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
I'm meteorologist Ray Miller from the Weatherology Weather Center. Cloudy skies tonight with a chance of light snow developing, a dusting of accumulation with a low temperature of 19. On Tuesday, we'll see a couple of showers with a high of 36 and southwest winds at 15 to 30 miles an hour. Wednesday, rain mixing with snow with a high temperature of 37, northwest winds up to 40 miles an hour. Thursday, chance of snow with a high temperature of 25 degrees. That's the latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 25.
Teachers are dynamic leaders, shaping a new generation. They bring a variety of perspectives from diverse backgrounds, innovating how they teach to prepare students for our fast-changing world. Achieving this takes skill and expertise. They're tireless explorers, creatively discovering a universe of solutions, telling stories, experimenting, inspiring, mentoring, connecting cultures, and connecting with each other. Leading by example. Experience the unique joy of helping students thrive. Teaching is a journey that shapes lives. Are you ready to begin? Explore teaching at teach.org, a campaign supported by the U.S. Department of Education, teach.org, and 1 million teachers of color.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
Patti Vasquez. From global conflicts to greenhouse gases, the folks refusing to wear masks says, and politicians getting caught grabbing asses says, she's driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue our drive home. I want to thank our sponsors, Minocqua Brewing Company. Please check out the Minocqua Brewing Company's Substack page and be a paid subscriber if you wouldn't mind, or at least just subscribe. But we have columns appearing every single day. He's also created a marketplace, and I want to thank the Woke Ginger on social media for highlighting the Minocqua Brewing Company marketplace, where you can pick up all kinds of household items, artisan work. Of course, you can also order your Woke coffee and maybe some progressive brews and some great progressive swag. So go to MinocquaBrewingCompany.com. We'll have our Up North podcast this Wednesday. I'll be broadcasting live from the Madison Tap Room. So if you want to come join us, we'd love to have you there. So we'll be in Madison this Wednesday. We also want to thank our friends at Pride Coffee Roasters. Go to PrideCoffeeRoasters.com. You know, recently we heard one of these clips by Sanjay Gupta saying that the safest and healthiest type of coffee bean to have are the single origin beans. And that's, of course, what Pride Coffee Roasters has from all over the world. And they have information about every single one of them, including their Resist Movement blend, which combines single origin beans from Dominican Republic as well as Arabica Asia beans. And you can go to MinocquaBrewingCompany.com. It's got hints of blueberry cobbler, chocolate malt, and a warming spice. We also want to thank our friends at Source Solar. Go to source.solar. Maybe it's time to put solar panels on your house or business and join thousands of happy customers in the Chicagoland area. And I know it's wintertime. You can get the process started. It takes a bit. So get started now and find out more at source.solar. And we want to thank our friends at Kids Above All. They have their holiday drive. Go to kidsaboveall.org and support their mission to help children live happy, healthy, safe lives. That's kidsaboveall.org. And hi to our friends listening on KTNF AM 950 Minneapolis, St. Paul, KKNW 1150. Of course, we're broadcasting here in Chicago on WCPT 1150. And joining me in studio right now is our good friend from Raising Illinois, Jesse Rojo, in studio with us. Hey, Jesse.
Always a pleasure. How you doing, Patty?
I'm doing all right. Hanging in there, my friend.
Got the hair down, nice and relaxed vibes.
Thank
I like
you.
it.
I appreciate that. So tell us a little bit about I know that you are a busy man. You have a lot of plates spinning. I know the feeling. Tell us a little bit about Raising Illinois.
Yeah. No, of course. It's so I've been with Raising Illinois almost since it began in 2019. Now, obviously, let's be clear. Some things happened in 2020, changed up the game. But essentially what Raising Illinois is one of our largest advocacy coalitions for the entire state of Illinois. Since 2019, we've grown to over 2,500, nearing 3,000 members. And the beautiful thing is almost 50% people of color and over 50% being outside of Chicagoland. That type of geographic and racial diversity, and I've been in this game about 10 years now, it is not common. But it's a testament to our organizing model, because one of the incredible core tenets to Raising Illinois is our Family Leader program. We have hired, contracted, paid, trained, equipped with everything that we can, 14 incredible family leaders directly representing low-income communities of color all over the state of Illinois. And in doing that, we empower those who are most aware of injustice to actually be the ones fighting for justice, the promise of community organizing. And specifically, we do this around anything that is impacting children 0 to 3 years old. We work from perinatal to home visiting, childcare, workforce development, economic security, and what we'll focus on today, early intervention. And we do that because those first 3 years are the most vital. Like literally, science has shown this. They are the most vital. It is what makes the difference in a child's life. It is what allows a kid's life to not be determined by the zip code they are born in, but the potential they hold. And that's what we are doing in Raising One. We're trying to make it so that we live up to the promise of our incredible state. We live up to the promise that Governor Pritzker himself made, that Illinois will be the best state to raise a young child.
And for folks who aren't familiar with early intervention, this is a federally mandated program across the country. And it may vary. There's a couple of states, I think, that do provide services to 5 years old. Illinois provides services from birth to 3. So it's kind of complemented between, it's sort of the state of Illinois, federal government, and insurance companies. It kind of has those 3 different.
Which makes it a little complicated.
It makes it really complicated. There's a lot of paperwork for these folks.
You know a lot more on that end than I do, Patty.
It's a lot, but it's crucial. And I will tell you, so when Declan was born, he was medically fragile, and people ask me what that means. It means that he was on life support, unable to breathe on his own.
From the very beginning, right?
From the very beginning.
Literally the first second.
Yeah, they actually sent, I think it was a physical therapist came in. We weren't in the early intervention services program yet, but they had sent somebody because he had hypotonia, meaning he had low muscle tone. And then a social worker came to our house after he was born, after we came home, and assigned us a team of early intervention providers. And when that bell rings, like when you have a child, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know how they're going to do, what your life is going to be like, what their life is going to be like. To have somebody come and say, I'm here to help, do everything I can to make sure your child reaches their potential is one of the greatest things. I'll be honest with you. I hated cleaning my house for strangers every single day because we had it 5 days a week. And they would always come in and say, it's okay, I've seen worse. I'm like, that's not soothing.
I mean, it's not soothing, but
it was great.
I bet eventually you got a little more comfortable. Maybe you didn't clean as much, and that provider there became, part of the family. Because that's what I hear constantly. I hear it from mothers who were in the same boat as you. And I mean, especially with that first kid, it's just, holy crap. It's already overwhelming to begin with. Yeah. Now having a child with a delay, I mean, it's a travesty that you've gone through it. It makes a difference, early intervention and these incredible providers. It makes a difference.
It really does. So I will have to ask, I know we have some guests coming up. You guide our conversation because we are having a panel on this. So you let me know when, but let's set this up for folks and what's happening in Illinois, because I know that there are there's a dire situation when it comes to folks that are waiting for early intervention services.
No, of course. And first, let's start on a positive note. Let's give a little bit of history for early intervention. In 2023, and now this is not the whole history for early intervention, those watching online on the radio, but this is my history. This is since I got involved, right? In 2023, Governor Pritzker proposed Smart Start Illinois, historic state funding for early childhood, CCAP, home visiting, and early intervention. This included a 10% increase in wages, or reimbursement rates, that is, for early intervention providers. Huge win. Incredible. Unfortunately, though, it's just not enough. It's a great first step. We need that next step and the one after that. That's what we're working on right now, because unfortunately right now, despite that incredible funding from Smart Start, what we're seeing is 3,000 children waiting for early intervention. And Patty kind of mentioned this. It's an entitlement program. For those who don't know, that means legally you're supposed to get this program, period. Right. Even right now in the state of Illinois, we codified this back in 21 or something like that. You are supposed to receive early intervention within 30 days of getting a referral. 3,000 children with developmental delays, 3,000 infants and toddlers right now are not getting this program. And again, this is for the smallest of children. Every single day makes a difference. And to have to not just wait days, but many times wait months, some wait years, some literally age out of the program before they even get a service. That is not okay. And so what we're doing exactly right now is simple. We are advocating for $40 million this year so that we can get it into fiscal year 27, so that we can actually start addressing this. We can hopefully not just retain the early intervention providers we have now. We'll have one on today who will tell you how challenging it is, but also bring in some new folks. And in doing that, make it so that we don't have this 3,000 child wait list, right, and are able to actually get kids the support that they need. And in order to specifically do that, and that's what we're going to be talking about here today, is we are actually having a statewide week of action. starting today, going all the way through Friday, a bunch of events all over the state, and essentially a few call to actions that at one point somebody should probably put it in the chat for me. But essentially, we're going to have a lot of things. One, a petition. The easiest thing possible. Click on the link, sign it, easy money. It's literally just early intervention is important. 2 is contacting the governor's office, asking for $40 million in his budget proposal. That can be an email, easy, or it can be a call if you want to go a little extra step further. There's also sharing your story, literally like what we heard Patti say today. These stories make the difference. If you have one, please share it. Then there's some incredible events. For example, Wednesday, we have Equip for Equality, who we're actually going to have one of their staffers on with us in a moment. They have an event on how to file a complaint if you don't receive early intervention services in a timely manner, because, again, you are legally entitled to that. And on Thursday, I think at 12 p.m. on Zoom, the family leaders who I spoke about earlier are actually going to be hosting their own town hall, not just to talk about early intervention, but the entire Raise Illinois policy agenda and how people can make a difference right now, how they can turn that anger, which, let's be honest, there's a lot of anger right now, and there should be, but how we can turn that anger into passion and that passion to change. And that's what we hope to do right now.
Excellent. And for folks who don't understand, I mean, and do you have any insight on how much the number of therapists that are still in the network, there might be a lower number because of Governor Rauner's actions during the budget impasse. I mean, and also, like, I mean, that's something that's been on my mind. Maybe we'll talk to some of our other panelists about that later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other panelists are the experts.
Yeah.
I won't know that off the top of my head. Albeit, I'm pretty sure I have a coworker online in the chat.
Who are we talking to?
He's probably going to be putting something in there. But for right now, I think we can let the panelists in if they're in the waiting room.
Yes, we'll let them in. We got let us know who we got. We have Peter
and Magda.
Peter and Magda. Let me turn their mics on for them, or they can turn theirs on. Let me see how. Okay, there you go. Hi, everybody. I don't know how to fix the gallery view of this, but I'm going to go ahead and record the conversation. I think we're recording already. All right, excellent. Introduce our friends to the audience.
Magda and Peter, you guys with us? There we go.
Hey Magda, how you doing?
All right, so yeah, there's a bit of an echo.
Is that from us? Oh, so there we go. I think someone just fixed it.
All right, perfect.
Oh, maybe
Anyways, maybe. Peter and Magda, you guys might have to mute yourself. I can't actually see you right now, so I'm going to put faith in that. That's what you're going to do.
No, they did mute themselves. Why are we still getting an echo?
Oh, hold on with this, folks. We might have some technical difficulties. Yeah, I'm hearing my own voice in my head. It's a little confusing right now.
You know what? I'll turn this off real quick. So that's on my board. We'll try to figure out the audio aspect of this in just a moment.
No worries, though. Anyways, for those listening online with us today, and I'll let them introduce themselves fully, but we have Peter with Equip for Equality, a state agency literally equipped to help get people into early intervention, and Magda, who's actually with us in 2 roles. She is an early intervention provider. She can tell you herself about how her passion alone is the only reason she's still able to do this job, and she'll also then tell you about why that passion was born, which is that her own children were in early intervention and made the difference for them.
Oh yeah, it absolutely makes a difference for everybody who's who receives services. Let me just check real quick before we go to the break and see if I've got. Let's see, we have Magda. Let's try your microphone again and see if I can get you real quick. Let's try yours first and see if I can isolate it. Hey Magda, how you doing? Oh, there we go. We're going to go to a break now, but I wanted to test it before we went to the commercial, and then we'll see how Peters is doing as well in a moment. We're in studio with Jesse Rojo, who is with Raise Illinois.
Raising. Ooh, so close.
I know, but I thought I heard you say Raise in Illinois, and I was like, Raising Illinois. And we are talking about early intervention. We're going to be joined by our friends Peter Eatherton of Equip for Equality and Magda Zalewska, an EI provider. More after this on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal and KKNW 1150, as well as our friends listening on KTNF AM 950. By the way, these early intervention programs, as I mentioned, are crucial across the country and are available to families who have a child with developmental delays. More in a moment on WCPT.
All right, son. Time to put out this campfire.
Dad, we learned about this in school.
Oh, did you now? Okay. What's first?
Smokey Bear said to.
First, drown it with a bucket of water, then stir it with a shovel.
Wow, you sound just like him.
Then he said.
If it's still warm, then do it again.
Where can I learn all this?
It's all on SmokeyBear.com with other wildfire prevention tips. Because only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Morgan Fairchild, and I am a lifetime lover of animals. I've rescued every pet I've ever had, so I know firsthand that when you adopt a shelter pet and make them a member of your family, it not only enriches you and your family's lives, but that of your pet's life as well. The champions at American Humane have been helping animals for more than 140 years, whether certifying the humane treatment of farm animals, rescuing animals caught in disasters, ensuring the safety of animal stars on screen, or protecting our planet's endangered species. They go above and beyond to further their mission and make the world a kinder place for animals. Please consider adopting a shelter pet and supporting American Humane.
The impact of a meal goes well beyond feeding our bodies, because feeling full can sound like this.
How did the interview go? I did it! I got the job! I can't believe it!
And like this.
Mom, I got first place at the science fair with my volcano project.
That's amazing, sweetie. Congratulations.
Because when people are fed, futures are nourished, and everyone deserves to live a full life. Join the movement to end hunger at feedingamerica.org/act now. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
From city streets to political beats, you're driving it home with Patti Vasquez, where progressive talk fuels the ride.
Thank you for joining us as we do continue this drive home. I am your host, Patti Vasquez. Joining me in studio is our friend Jesse Rojo from Raising, Illinois. And on the line with us, we have Peter Eatherton. Hey, Peter, is it Eatherton or Eatherton? Hold on, let me get your microphone. How do I say your last name, Peter? Eatherton. I apologize for the hard E then. Peter Eatherton for Equipped for Equality, and Magda Zalewska. Am I saying your name correctly, Magda? Zalewska. I'll get there.
Zalewska, yeah.
Zalewska. I'll take that.
You're good.
Oh, no worries. Thank you both for joining us. And of course, let's start with Magda. Let's start with you because Jesse was saying that you are an early intervention provider as well as the mother of a child who benefited from early intervention services. Correct? Oh.
Tell us both, yeah.
Yeah, tell us about your first story and then where things are a little bit different. Yep. What? That's great. Yeah, no, I agree. Jason, did you want to say something?
I was going to say, literally, Magda, what I find so beautiful about your story is that double perspective. Because unfortunately, right now, and we see this with all early childhood, people can fall into the trap of parent versus provider, right? Whether it's childcare or early intervention or something else, it's so easy because, again, things are so difficult right now. It's so easy to point fingers. And so I've seen it where some people are pointing fingers. Oh, the parents are just not doing enough. Oh, these providers, they're just not trying. Magda's story, literally, she's on both sides of this. She can testify doing everything she can as a parent as well as a provider. And in doing that, shows that there is nobody to point fingers to. It is a system that we have to point to and say, we have to do better. And that's why we're advocating for $40 million, which I guess sounds like a lot to some folks. But guys, $40 million is literally just nothing compared to some of these larger programs, but it'll make all the difference. And it's so badly needed.
It really is. And Peter, tell us a little bit about the work that you're doing and your perspective on this as well.
Those services should start in 30 days. And that's, like Jesse was saying, that's often not happening. And that's why, they're trying to advocate for additional funding in this area. But we see that. I mean, I would say of all the calls I get, I would say 95% plus just relate to service delays. People want these services and they see the value in them. And they're great when they get them, but we do have these shortages right now in Illinois. And people should be aware that, there is a requirement to start these services in 30 days, and there are things they can do. We call them dispute resolution tools, but they can file complaints, and they can request mediation or due process hearings through the early intervention process, right? So there is a dispute resolution process built in there, and we help folks do that. So that's a lot of what we do, and I think the complaint process is good when it works. It just wasn't being used a lot before. So through partnership with organizations like Start Early and Illinois Families for Early Intervention, we have been trying to raise awareness about this option to file a complaint so parents can get services quicker And actually, if they've missed a lot of services, they can get makeup services through the complaint process to kind of try to bring those kids back up to speed.
Man, it's a lot happening. Let's take a break here. We are talking to our friends. We're talking about early intervention with our friends Jesse Rojo, who is in studio with me from Raising Illinois. What's the website for folks who want to learn more about that?
RaisingIllinois.org.
RaisingIllinois.org. Peter Eatherton of Equip. I had to say Weatherton in my head.
That's 100%. You got an A+.
Peter Eatherton for Equip for Equality, and Magda Zalewska. Close?
Yes.
Magda Zalewska, who's an early intervention provider. I want to talk more about their stories and what you can do to help make sure that babies are not waiting for crucial services that will help them reach their potential. More after this on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal, KKNW 1150, and KTNF AM 950. More in a moment.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
I'm meteorologist Ray Miller from the Weatherology Weather Center. Cloudy skies tonight with a chance of light snow developing, a dusting of accumulation with a low temperature of 19. On Tuesday, we'll see a couple of showers with a high of 36 and southwest winds at 15 to 30 miles an hour. Wednesday, rain mixing with snow with a high temperature at 37, northwest winds up to 40 miles an hour. Thursday, chance of snow with a high temperature of 25 degrees. That's the latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 23.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
Tell me how you're doing, really. Tell me that you missed the bus this morning, your rent's past due, and your stress level has skyrocketed. I'm here for you, to listen, not judge, to connect you to local mental health resources. No matter what you're going through, specialists like me from NAMI Chicago Helpline are here for you. Call or text Helpline to 833-626-4244. That's 833-626-4244.
The best words to hear at the TSA security checkpoint? You're good to go. So check before you jet. Avoid delays at TSA security checkpoints by making sure you have an acceptable form of ID. That means a real ID, passport, or other acceptable forms of identification.
Visit tsa.gov/ID to check the full list of acceptable IDs. Avoid travel delays by checking ID requirements, and you're good to go.
Being blind doesn't always look how others may think.
Retinitis pigmentosa aimed to overwhelm my family.
It tried to cut me down. I know where to find support and where I can be seen.
Innovative research, educational resources, supportive community. The Foundation Fighting Blindness is leading the charge in finding treatments and cures for blinding diseases. Learn more at fightingblindness.org. A public service message from the Foundation Fighting Blindness.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
If you're listening to this station right now, you've definitely heard my voice before. Hi, I'm Hawk.
And I'm Pete. And we're with Source Solar, your local source for solar. Source Solar is Chicagoland's premier solar installer, providing solutions for over 1,000 homeowners and business owners across Illinois and Iowa.
With over a decade of industry experience and deep roots here in Chicago, we have the expertise to help your transition to clean, renewable, resilient energy.
We can guarantee that we save you money day one without any out-of-pocket cost to you. This means you have an instant ROI, instant payback, and can save money to add to your bottom line day one.
At Source Solar, we source everything as local as possible, meaning we always carry the Made in USA sticker.
Find us online at www.source.solar. Stop in our office at 5710 North Northwest Highway or give us a call at 773-985-3992.
And don't forget to ask for Hawk
or Pete.
From city streets to political beats, you're driving it home with Patti Vasquez. Where progressive talk fuels the ride.
We are going to continue our conversation with our friends to discuss early intervention and what you can do to help to make sure there's funding for the program to help babies 2 to 3 years old reach their potential with support services that are crucial. I have a quick favor from our listeners, especially the folks who help spread good information. If you've ever shared something you heard on WCPT or read on heartlandsignal.com, maybe a clip, a story, or a moment that cut through the noise, we want to hear from you. We're building a network of people who help their communities stay informed, and you might already be one of them. It only takes a couple minutes, and if you fill out the survey, you can enter a drawing for one of 5 $25 Visa gift cards. Just go to heartlandsignal.com/share and tell us how you pass information along. That's heartlandsignal.com/share. You're a big part of how trustworthy pro-democracy news actually travels, and we want to learn from you. And that's why we're talking about important stories that affect all of our communities throughout the state of Illinois and, as a matter of fact, throughout the country. Joining me in studio is Jesse Rojo from Raising Illinois. And on the line with us, we have Peter Eatherton from Equip for Equality and Magda Zalewska who is an early intervention provider as well as a parent of children who benefited from early intervention and in some ways had some challenges. One of the things I mentioned earlier, let me ask you this, Magda, how long have you been with early intervention? Remind me.
As a provider, I've been with early intervention for a year now, and as a parent, I've been in early intervention for a year now.
Oh, for a year and a year! Wow. Had you been studying? Were you previously a therapist? I might have missed that part. I apologize, because that's pretty remarkable.
I actually heard about early intervention through my daughter, that I qualified to work for it. I was a director at a preschool for 10 years.
Okay.
I couldn't go back to work due to my daughter's health condition, so one of her physical therapists actually told me that I should apply for early intervention myself because there is a demand in providers. So I was like, okay, if there's a demand for providers, and I studied ECE, why not? Let's do it. So I jumped the boat, and here I am as a provider now.
And I'm grateful for the work that you're doing too. And I get it from being on the inside. You want to get in and try to do the best you can for everybody. And Peter, how long have you been doing the work that you do? Just out of curiosity, from Equip.
Yeah, I've been with Equip for Equality in one role or another for almost 5 years now, I think. So, Equip for Equality has been around for 40 years. We're actually celebrating our 40th anniversary, though. So a lot of folks here have been doing this work for a while. We've been really focusing mostly on early intervention, though, more recently. Like within the last year or two, we've seen the number of issues go up. And in doing a lot of work in this area, we kind of encountered this issue where we saw thousands of people on waiting lists, but like only 7 complaints were filed in all of last fiscal year. Mm-hmm. And so through sort of partnership with some other organizations, that number increased. I mean, we got over 40 complaints were filed. And, the importance of that is, I think, twofold. One is, there are these additional 33 families who are hopefully getting at least their issues addressed, getting some additional services, getting services more quickly. But it also lets, the people at DHS who oversee early intervention, Department of Human Services in Illinois, they want to try to fix these problems, and that's why this whole system's set up. But if people aren't, aware of their rights, right, and the ability to go back to them, they don't have the opportunity to step in and fix things and make sure things are working. So sometimes, we see our role as trying to help the kids, right, to get the services they need. At the end of the day, I think everybody's on the same page about that. I do think, like Jesse talked about, there's to some degree a problem of resources, right? Which brings it back to that. Yeah.
I think it's 2 problems, really. I mean, many problems, but 2 large problems: the resources, the funding, hence why we're advocating for $40 million, but also, and this has been described so well by Magda and Patti with you as well, I mean, the lack of awareness. Yeah. I mean, it astonishes me. I've been working on early intervention since, I think, about 2020, maybe 2021, and it astonishes me how many parents did not know about EI until they needed it, and don't get me wrong, I was the exact same. I had no idea what it was until I started working on it, right? But that's just not okay. It makes it so hard for you to advocate for yourself. Hence, we have an incredible organization like Equip for Equality helping us out here, because if there's no awareness, then we're not able to make sure that the children who need this program are getting it. Again, we talked about earlier, 3,000 kids are waiting for this. That's just the ones who know about it. Imagine how many more kids are out there that this program could make a difference for them. Imagine the impact that could have at a societal level. I mean, it's astonishing the money we could save long term, the citizens we could create. It's sad that not only do we not have the resources, not only are there providers like Magda who are out there just doing this out of passion despite all the challenges, but also we have the challenge of just people don't know enough about this. And what's wild is if they knew, I got no doubt we'd have way more support for this.
And I agree with you on that. And Peter, how should, I mean, when Jesse says that we would save money, people don't realize how much money we would save, because that's something that I learned not just by our participation and receiving the great services, but also when I started advocating in Springfield. When you invest in people, you save money. The more you invest in a baby now, right, the less it's going to cost later on. Tell us a little bit about that so that we can maybe, for folks who are like, why do we got to pay for early intervention? You know, that kind of thing.
Sure. So, I mean, a lot of the work that we do at Equip for Equality is also special education services. So for those kids who are like 3 to 22, basically school-age kids. And eventually, you know, all these children are going to end up in the public school system, and they're going to be entitled to services under, you know, the federal special education laws there. And, you know, you just heard, obviously, Magda's story about her own daughter. One of the amazing things early intervention can do, and we see this a lot, is you have these early delays, but if you get the services on a timely basis, you kind of find that window where it really can make a huge difference. They might leave early intervention, so at age 3, they age out of early intervention, and they get passed over to the school district, basically. And at that point, you know, maybe their delay has been cut much shorter, so they need a lot less services, or maybe they don't need services at all, right? And so, you know, if you were just looking at this, I know this is not you, Patti, but if you were just looking at this as like a cold, rational thinker about like, how can I save the most money? I think there's a strong reason to believe we want to invest in these children early on, because, you know, down the road, not only are we they're going to be passed through the school system, but those services at that point, it becomes more difficult, right? These problems are a lot harder to fix down the road. And it's just amazing, because one of the other cool things about early intervention is that they not only serve the children, but they really try to, like Magda was saying, they talk to the families, they demonstrate to the families some techniques they can use. So even more than like a school-based support where it's just affecting the child, you're really training the parents on some of these vital skills that they can use with their kids.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, and that's what's great about some of the home-based services. I mentioned, I think you guys might have heard me when I don't know, Magda, if you ever went through this, where like you're happy that the early intervention providers are coming to your house, but you're also like, no, I gotta clean for the early, and you probably get that when you visit homes as well. Is that right?
Yes, all the time. Like, I'm sorry for the mess, and it's like, I'm not here to judge. I'm here to coach you. So when your kid does age out, kind of like Peter said, the parents are well equipped to continue to support their child like they're supposed to be, basically thriving. I mean, you guys said it more than enough. The first 3 years are crucial. The synapses are almost completely formed by the age of 3. So if we don't make these changes and grow new habits for families, how many parents just don't even know what kind of toys are beneficial to children, how they should approach children, how to teach communication? That communication starts as simple as gestures. It's not just focusing on words, and parents feeling so overwhelmed thinking that they have to meet all these guidelines and not knowing how to kind of step back and support their child appropriately for them to reach the goals that they want to reach. And I mean, like Peter said, we don't want them going into the school district and then parents struggling trying to find them support outside of early intervention because they're not doing so well in school. Obviously, if we have successful adults or successful children, they're going to turn into successful adults, and we can all thrive happily as a community.
Absolutely.
Makes me laugh that Peter earlier was talking about, the cold-hearted, rational person. Not you, Patti. Yeah, I think he was saying me there.
What?
Because I'll admit, that actually was me. Again, I said it earlier, I did not know what EI was. I frankly barely knew what early child education was until I started working on it from a policy side. And what enthralled me about it was that fact that for every dollar you invest, you end up with over $7 in return as a society. That you end up with money saved because you end up needing less support going further.
Yeah.
You'll end up with less crime. You'll end up with more people who are able to do good jobs. All of this stuff. I mean, literally, as somebody without kids yet, at least, fingers crossed, we'll see, but without kids yet, I still advocate for this all the time because it will benefit me right now and going forward. And it's the same down in Springfield with legislators. We see that people are never not going to support this. They might not vote for it. We see that all the time. But I've never heard somebody trash on early intervention.
Right.
I mean, again, it ties back to what I was saying earlier. We just need people to be aware of this. And truly, I mean, maybe this is me being an optimist. I haven't been called an optimist before, but hey, I'm going to try. I think that this is an opportunity because we, again, have a lot of problems right now as a society. We've got a lot of challenges ahead of us, but early intervention truly can be a program that brings people together and can show that government can be an instrument of good. It can make the difference in people's lives, and that's why we need to support programs like this and so many others.
Before we go to the break, where can people find information to learn more? And then we'll talk more about what they can do when we come back.
Of course, I'll repeat this many times more, but go to raisingillinois.org/get-involved.
Excellent.
Again, raisingillinois.org/get-involved.
Excellent. We're going to take a break here. I'm going to check our text screen. If anybody has any questions about early intervention, feel free to text us at 773-763-9278. That's 773-763-9278. We'll come back in a moment and continue our conversation at our early intervention crisis panel. We have in studio Jesse Rojo from Raising Illinois. Again, that's raisingillinois.org. And Peter Eatherton for Equipped for Equality, and Magda Zalewska, an EI provider and a parent of children who have been in the programs and support services of early intervention. More in a moment on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal, KKNW 1150, and KTNF AM 950 Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Dive deeper into the heart of the news and stories at WCPT 820 and across the Midwest by checking out our website, heartlandsignal.com.
It's the coverage I can count on every time.
For the latest news updates, in-depth analysis, compelling stories, comprehensive election coverage, live streams, and thought-provoking opinions, head to heartlandsignal.com.
When I need to know, they're there.
They keep me informed and updated wherever I am.
Stay informed with WCPT 820, your go-to source for where facts matter.
Cancer affects all of us. Today alone, 5,370 people in the United States will be diagnosed with cancer. That's why Stand Up to Cancer funds and develops the newest and most promising cancer treatments to help patients today. Stand Up to Cancer wants to provide you with every opportunity to join in this mission. By donating your home, land, or commercial property, you can help Stand Up to Cancer fund innovative cancer research. Donating eases the stress associated with selling a home and can also help lead to the next breakthrough in cancer prevention, diagnosis, and treatment. Stand Up to Cancer makes the process easy, and it may be tax deductible. It will take all of us standing up together to put an end to cancer as we know it. Help us save lives right now. Your home or property could hold the key to the next breakthrough in cancer research. Visit standuptocancer.org/giveproperty to learn more.
How serious is youth vaping? Irreversible lung damage serious. 1 in 10 kids vape serious, which warrants a serious conversation from a serious parental figure like yourself. Not the seriously know-it-all sports dad or the seriously smart podcaster. It requires a serious conversation that is best had by you. No, seriously, the best person to talk to your child about vaping is you. To start the conversation, visit talkaboutvaping.org. Brought to you by the American Lung Association and the Ad Council.
You're listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
Union Strong Chicago continues to lead the way with progressive values and in preserving democracy. Your support of the Minocqua Brewing Company Super PAC efforts in Wisconsin and beyond strengthens the fight against MAGA Republicans. You can now purchase progressive beers like Labor Lager, Love Wins Fruited Sour, and the Resistance IPA in Chicago at Rogers Park Provisions, Diversity Beer, Wine, and Spirits in Lakeview, Park West Liquor, Wine, and Beer in Lincoln Park, Logan Square Liquors, and Tip Top Food and Liquors in Westtown. Visit MinocquaBrewingCompany.com for all their Chicagoland locations. As always, no matter how bad our sports teams are, please drink responsibly.
Welcome back to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us. We continue to drive it home. I'm your host, Patti Vasquez. Joining me in studio is our guest, Jesse Rojo, in studio, part of our panel for the early intervention crisis that we're discussing. Again, we're broadcasting at WCPT 820, Heartland Signal, KKNW 1150, and KTNF AM 950. Even though you're in other parts of the country, these programs are crucial to children across the country from birth to 3 years old. I think some states, do you know, Jesse, I think some states have birth to 5 years old, but they're kind of rare. There used to be a few.
I think like 3. I don't even know which 3.
Very rare and few between. Joining us on the line are Magda Zalewska, an early intervention provider and a parent whose children have been a part of the support services, and Peter Eatherton of Equip for Equality. And you had a question for one of our guests on the panel.
For two of our guests on the panel, actually, yourself included.
Oh,
Patti and Magda.
That's right.
I mean, we got some time left. I just want to give you guys the chance to tell the listeners, what is one moment that stood out for you guys as parents who went through early intervention? What is that one moment that stands out? Whether it made a difference for you as a mother or for your kid, what's just that moment that you want to share to encourage others to get involved?
For me, it was being told that my son might never talk. I'm sorry. Well, that we knew that was, we had people that were helping us a lot with with sign language and more and all those gestures. They also said he would never walk, and he started walking. Sarah Karp was our physical therapist. Now, Declan, Magda, is 20 years old. So I still remember the physical therapist who worked with him tirelessly. She was all the way from when he came home from the hospital to when he was 3 years old, and at about 2.5 years old was able to help him start walking with a walker, and then eventually on his own. How about you, Magda?
I mean, there's a good thing that stands out from early intervention for me is basically as a mom whose daughter, same kind of like you, Patti, was told that your daughter might not talk, your daughter might not walk with the hydrocephalus, with the brain not expanding the way it was supposed to. It was just so frightening to think that my daughter is not going to be functioning like everybody else, but due to early intervention, not only is she now a year into the program with a 0% delay, still medically qualified, so she's still going to continue the services, but also me as a mom, the support that I felt when I felt unheard, when I was scared, just to have someone to talk to, reassure me that everything's going to be okay, and that I do have that support system behind me, helping my daughter thrive.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's really remarkable. Go ahead.
It's an entire structure of support. I think it's really hard to understand that from the outside. I mean, it's not just a program for the kid. It is. Let's not get into it. I mean, we just heard 3 stories that, frankly, should be considered miraculous. Being told that your kid will never talk, will never walk, and then they end up doing that because of early intervention. Huge.
Exactly.
But it's also, imagine, for the listeners out there, imagine the relief these mothers got from that. Imagine how hard it must have been to hear that, right, Patti? And then to still see Declan be able to stand on his own 2 feet.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's a good you guys were wrong to them doctors.
Exactly.
Which is always good.
Exactly. And Peter, I was mentioning earlier, and I don't know how familiar you are with the budget impasse and the suspension of funding briefly, at least. They didn't do it to early intervention, but when Governor Rauner was in office, there were providers that weren't being paid for 6 months, 18 months. Do you think that hasn't had an impact on the number of people in early intervention providing the services?
I mean, I think Magda's probably closer to that.
Okay.
As a provider herself, I don't know, Magda. Do you hear about that?
All the time.
Oh,
many providers left because of that.
I know it.
And now there's an uprising. Actually, there's companies that kind of work under the state that do the billing for you to guarantee that providers get paid and don't have to have that delay in waiting on the state.
The delay was terrible. And we don't even want to get into the billing and the paperwork that they all have to go through, because that's some wild stuff that they have to do.
That's for the stuff you do get paid. Remember earlier, Magda was sharing about the fact that she had to travel, doesn't get paid for that. She'd sometimes have to bring toys for these kids to play with, doesn't get paid for that. I mean,
The notes either. No, half these reports take 2 hours to write, but they only pay us for half the time.
Yeah. Jesse, what can people do to help out and make sure we can get this funding done?
Of course, especially this week. And again, guys, if you do this next week, next month, next year, whatever, I'll still take it. But especially this week, we're trying to get everybody to take action so that we can get attention around this, so we can get the awareness we need to ensure that come 2026, the governor fully proposes $40 million. And at the end of the legislative cycle, we win it, we get it, and we're able to make a difference. So again, if you're on here and you're listening and you want to make a difference, don't just take these steps, but also share it out with others. Sign the petition. It's in the Facebook chat. We'll figure out a way to share it out otherwise as well. Contact the governor's office. Reach out to him. Email or call. Tell them that we need $40 million for an intervention. If you have an EI story, reach out and share it. If you have the time, join us either Wednesday, 6 p.m. for the Equip for Equality event, or Thursday, 12 p.m., both virtual on Zoom, for the Raise Illinois Virtual Town Hall. Lastly, the big one is to just keep doing something. Again, it's a rare opportunity. That our biggest problem is that people aren't aware. Because when they become aware, when they hear these stories from Patti, from Magda, from so many parents about the difference EI makes, they want to support it. So let's make sure people hear these stories. Let's make sure people turn that anger into advocacy so that we can actually get the children the help that they need.
Absolutely. I agree. And including that, Jesse was highlighting the fact that a lot of people don't know that early intervention exists. Magda, what would you tell people to do if they have a friend? I mean, it's hard to tell your friend, hey, do you know about this? Sometimes, sometimes people don't think that they even need the services. Wouldn't you say that there's almost a shame to it? Oh, they're fine. They'll catch up. That kind of thing too, isn't there?
Yeah, all the time. People are not willing to take support because they think that there's something wrong with their child. But the way I look at it is, if there's support for your child, take it. Why not help your child thrive? What's the shame of additional support? We should be, if we have the advantage to help our children thrive, especially in the crucial time period of 0 to 3, I think it's important because it's a bigger thing than just that family, than just that child. It's a whole community level. We can all work together. We can all thrive as a community if everybody in the community is thriving, if everybody is getting the support that they need. And sometimes I deal with kids neurodivergent and neurotypical, and the neurotypical kids still thrive from early intervention with building focus, building executive functioning skills, building fine motor skills just to hold their pencil and be able to manipulate scissors when they go into preschool. Our teachers in the school setting are already stressed. Imagine if these kids come fully equipped, ready to go into preschool, kindergarten, and they don't need that extra attention from the teacher because they're already well to go because they've gotten the support that they need. It's never a shame to get support.
No, it's not. It's really not. It's for your child, right?
Another reason why we need this awareness. I mean, seriously, if people just realize how structured and incredible this program is, it takes the nuance out of it, because that nuance is real. I mean, I used to exclusively work with low-income families in Chicago, especially Hispanic families, where I would always hear, no, eso es mi trabajo. That's my job, right? Whether it's with childcare or other things. It's crazy. But it's not that hard to overcome that stigma. Believe it or not, we just need to make sure people are aware of just how vital this service is and how it is your legal right. You don't have to beg for this. At least you shouldn't. You shouldn't have to beg for this. You shouldn't have to fight for this. You are legally supposed to get it within 30 days of a referral. Absolutely. And then it starts making the difference like that.
And Peter, before we go, I want to make sure you have a chance to also share your insight with why this is so important with early intervention and how people can help.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, just thank you for letting us come on and talk about this, because I do think that awareness is a big piece. But oftentimes, as we said, there are thousands of families on waiting lists, and they may not know about their legal rights. If you're one of those families, or if you know one of those families, encourage them to reach out to Equip for Equality. We are a free not-for-profit. We give free legal advice. We have a special education helpline, 1-866-KIDS-046, and our website, equipforequality.org. We're here to support families with disabilities, and these kids, like Jesse just said, there's a legal right to get these services. And, sometimes, we need to do things like file complaints and things like that. Other times there's just a communication issue, right? And we can work with the family to try to get them connected with those services. Again, everybody's on the same team here. There are limited resources. There are issues, obviously, with the system in terms of getting those resources. But man, when the early intervention system works, we can achieve these amazing outcomes. And it's just a question of getting that awareness there, and then making people make sure that people know they have these rights, to reach out if things go wrong, and then we can get those things corrected, hopefully.
Outstanding. Again, thank you all so much. We've been talking to Magda Zalewska, EI provider and parent of children who have been in early intervention programs. Peter Eatherton of Equip for Equality. Do you have a website there, Peter, you'd like folks to visit?
Yeah, it's www.equipforequality.org.
Excellent. And again, Jesse Rojo from Raising Illinois. Go to raisingillinois.org. Call your legislators. Get involved in it. We'll have you back in January if you want, if it's possible, ahead of the General Assembly, so we can remind people to get a hold of the legislators. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Lady B. Thank you, our sponsors, Private Coffee Roasters, Source Seller, and Monaco Brewing Company. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Take care.
This is a WCPT Veteran Minute. After working several odd jobs in New York City, Henry Johnson found his way into the National Guard during World War I. Johnson was assigned to the 369th Infantry Regiment,